Hey guys, this is Don Airey from Deep Purple, and you are listening to the Deep Purple podcast. It's been a pleasure.
You're listening to the Deep Purple podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 261, Deep Purple Rapture of the Deep Part 2. And coming to you in the overloaded, candy-ridden suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Number One Matola.
Number one. Connecticut was the first state. But you already did Connecticut, right?
Right.
Number one. Number one in population? California?
No, we did California.
We did? Oh, yeah, that A comes before O.
Yeah. I
Still
like how
getting
this is
used to
a
this alphabet thing.
Yeah, I like how this is become a trivia thing for you.
It just should be so easy. It's just an alphabetical order. all I have to do to foil you is pull up an alphabetical list of the states, and I'll get it every time. So Connecticut. What comes after Connecticut? Delaware. Oh, Delaware was the first state.
Known as the first state because it was the first to ratify the Constitution,
and Rhode Island was last of the original. Of the original. Colonies,
I guess.
We don't talk about that. We're a little slow.
we don't talk about that in these parts.
Yeah, Connecticut wasn't the first state. What am I thinking of?
Yeah, I don't know. First color television.
Yeah, that must have been what was stuck in my head. Oh my goodness.
Which was probably watched in Shalerville.
That's true. Well, we're recording this just a day after our Machine Head episode, so I'm still swimming in Easter candy and other sorts of candy. So I got all sorts of candies here. I should have done a Tennessee fact, or maybe I should have saved this for Tennessee, but I think all of this stuff would be bad by the time we got to it. So
yeah.
All right. So all right. Hey, if you enjoy the Deep Purple podcast, you can support our show a number of ways. Our show is 100% ad-free and listener-supported. We put it out there for free, but we just ask if you receive some value for our show, please consider giving us some value back so we can continue the show going, keep us in good things, upgrade equipment when we need to, buy albums when we need to, all that sort of stuff. So you can support our show, leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, helps new people discover the show. You can buy some Etsy merch on our Etsy store. You can become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month. Help support our show. And then you can also donate on Cash App at $DPPOD or support us on Ko-fi. So we did some patron upgrades last time. Not last time. We're all screwed up because we recorded out of order because of that.
Everything's all messed up.
That damn Machine Head remix put everything out of order. Dweezil, yet again, shaking our fists at Dweezil. So speaking of patrons, coming in at our executive level, we have a number of patrons. At our in memoriam tier, the Gerald Jerry Cayley and his wonderful family. At the $25 Uncommon Man tier, we have Ovis Nakvi and Purple Maniac. At the 15 Squid tier, we have Alan. At the $10 Good Doctor tier, we have Dr. Mike Catan. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Mickelstein, Will Porter, PhDPP, and Michael Bagford. Don't call him Bradford. And at the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans, Peter from Illinois. And at the Hughesoween by 2033 tier, we have Fielding Fowler. Oops.
Wrong Mark III vocalist.
I know. I was thinking of the howl, and no, it's a real wolf howl, not a Coverdale horny wolf howl. So a number of shows that we brought up in our last I'm sorry, in the Machine Head episode, but I don't think we covered them all last week for you. The Vi Satriani tour coming to Chicago April 18th. I will be there if you want to join us or me. Come let me know. Just drop me a line. May 17th, it sounds like John and the Gardeau and Roback and Rich and all them will be in summer. Oh, wait, are you going to the... Oh, you're going to Dixie Dregs and Steve Morse.
Yeah.
But you're not going to Blackmore's night?
No, I am. I just forgot I was.
Okay. June 30th, Northampton.
The whole text chain where it was decided that I was going to go later on, they're just like, yeah, and John's going. I'm like, what am I going to? And Rich is like, see above. So I had to scroll.
Like, oh, that's
he wouldn't
right.
tell me.
Yeah.
I had to scroll up and say, oh, okay, I agreed to go to Blackmore's night.
He rushed. He got everybody tickets and like nobody respond. I was the only one to respond. He's like, the only one who's responding is the one who's not going.
No, but yes, I'm going to both. Yeah.
Yeah. The announcement of Blackmore's night tickets was not celebrated in like Renaissance fashion with doo, 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 doo. It was just kind of like just kind of pooped out.
It was just a bunch of confusion is what it was.
Yes. Also, we have an upcoming rankings show coming at you. So by the time you hear this, we will have already done our Deep Purple Book of Taliesin rankings episode, which means we're all ready for our patrons accepting votes and rankings for our Deep Purple self-titled album rankings. So we've gotten a really good response on Book of Taliesin, expecting probably even more on Deep Purple. And then once we get to In Rock, we're probably going to get blown up. Some patrons slept on the first 2 albums and maybe 3, but I think once we get to In Rock and Machine Head and that, we'll have some serious rankings coming our way.
Oh, I got to give you my rating. Speaking of which.
I haven't done mine yet either. I've been so focused on gathering everyone else. I was thinking about that. Oh shit, me and John have to rank this, don't we?
Yeah, well, usually you remind me. You're like, "Hey, I need your ranking." So I'm like, "Shit."
And usually,
1,
the morning,
2, 3.
you just go in track order on the album, just alphabetize them. And then lastly, before we get started, check out deepdivepodcastnetwork.com for all of our great brother and sister shows about great bands apart from Deep Purple. All right. So do you remember where we left off on this one? I feel like it was like 5 months ago we did part 1 on this, but it was really not that long ago.
Well, yeah, I think I also have, hang on, I'm going to look at I'm going to fumble with the spreadsheet and take a look. Because obviously our last ranking will tell me. I do have, before we start album rankings though, I need to catch up on some, because we got 4 songs left back to back.
Well, actually,
I'm sorry.
Actually, we have 6 because, before we do that, John, I almost forgot, and you reminded me before we started, but there's something else we have to do. And that is, of course, Postcards from the Edge of Connecticut.
Okay.
All right, John's going to kick us off this time because I'm actually looking at a bare desk. Usually there's a stack of postcards here. I've run dry. So John, take it away. All
right, I think it's all here. All right, well, first I have to go into a bit of a backlog here because I had just cleaned up the desk a few weeks ago, and I have a couple here from a couple of backlog ones here. So I have this first one here from see if you can. Greetings from Deerfield Beach.
Oh, Deerfield Beach. Okay, is that in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is from Regal. The return address is Regal Beagle East. Since it seems unfair that Nate gets all the cool stuff, here's a landlord for you, Norman Fell.
Where's Norman Fell?
Well, he's probably the landlord of this building.
It looks a little nicer than where they lived.
Yeah. So, and then I have another one which came later, and this one is from, greetings from Cooter's Garage in Nashville, Tennessee. And this is, both of these are from, if you haven't guessed, Rich Yangwi Shaylor.
Yes, yep.
And he said, I told Cooter about your car issues. He said to bring your car in. He needs a good laugh. Rich. Which, for those of you who don't know, my car is very small. All right. All right, and now for the namesake of the segment here, I have my first.
You just showed your address. I'll have to edit that out. There we go. Now you just showed Peter's address. All right, I'll edit that out.
I'm not used to this. I got my first hefty package here.
Now I got some video editing to do. Jeez.
All right, stop. Okay, so I got my first hefty package here from the Gardot, the originator of this segment. So I'm opening it now.
Yes, always. Yeah, we've learned over the years to open, if it's a packet, anything but a postcard, because the postcard's spoiled either way. You got to open it on the air, because you never know what goodies could lie inside. You never know what junkie's clearing out of the attic.
John, here's a Connecticut package for you. Hope that this package finds its way to you in good time. The items in this envelope might be expected because Nate knows.
I know.
But with the short fuse, it is what it is.
Okay.
Or maybe you meant as Nate knows. Wishing you and yours a wonderful spring with the rejuvenation that comes at Easter. Pete.
All right.
All right, so let me see. What do we have? We have, let me see, a map of the U.S.
Just in case you get lost. It
just with the bald eagle
USA on it. Like, how detailed is the map?
I'm not opening this. I'll never be able to close it up.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's one of those maps you put in your glove box.
I've got a few northeast maps behind me from Mr. Gardot.
All right, so let me see. Then we have a Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island, Texaco map.
All right, Texaco.
Yep. So yeah, that's another road map. I have a postcard, or it looks like a postcard. Settling of Connecticut, 1636.
All right.
And that's just a little pick up top there.
Is that like some cows?
It is. No, it's some people. Oh wait, are there cattle in the back?
Oh, I thought there were cattle.
Yeah, there
in the
are.
front.
Good.
Maybe they're just wearing black and white. They look like cows.
Yeah, but the cattle or whatever in the back, they're white. I have this a little clicky pen from Fleet Bank.
Oh, Fleet Bank.
Wow.
Yeah, when did Fleet Bank get bought out by Bank of America? It was a long time ago. Because my cousin Jeff was working for. Wait, no, that's not true. He didn't work. I think he worked for Fleet. Yeah, he did. He worked for Fleet, and then when Bank of America bought them out, they were like, "You can keep your job if you move to North Carolina or something." And he was like, "No, thanks."
It still writes. Let's see. I have a Vernon Royal roll book.
What's a roll book?
Let me see. It's a bunch of these blank. It looks like
like taking roll call for like. Oh yeah, like what teachers use. That looks like those little teacher sheets where they take attendance.
Yep. All right, let me see. Just a couple of more things. The Connecticut. Well, what do you know? The Connecticut Postcard Collection, 32 ready-to-mail postcards.
Oh, a whole.
And it's just a book of all.
Wow, look at that. Beautiful Connecticut. Any
it looks like a bunch of
a nutmeg. What is that? Like a reenactment of
a bunch of people doing a reenactment of something. That one is the most.
Signing a declaration of sorts.
Revolutionary War reenactment. Yep.
There you go.
Groton, Connecticut. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like a bunch of scenic stuff here, and then we got one more. I have another pen.
What's that from?
And this
Citizens?
one is from.
That still exists.
Citizens Shawmut Bank.
Shawmut.
No, this is from the University of Hartford.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Pen.
Wait, University of Hartford. Oh man, I don't have that clip loaded. It's going to be too late.
Oh. Well, thank you, Mr. Gardot. I appreciate that, and Mr. Shaylor.
Very nice.
For sending me some mail. I also got more mail.
And oh my goodness.
And this package came from none other than my co-host.
Oh, it's a big giant box of Goo Goo clusters.
Oh my goodness! And I haven't. I thank you so much, Nate. And I haven't tried. I haven't even opened it yet. But I'm going to try one on air.
Oh, good, because I have. Guess what? I have my last Goo cluster. I was just I was just recently in Nashville, and I didn't go to Cooter's Garage because honestly, I didn't know that's where it was. I know Rich had sent us the pictures. He probably mentioned it, but I was like, oh man, that would have been good. But our Nashville trip was cut a little short anyway. But yeah, I got this Goo cluster, and I was texting John about if he'd ever had them because they're delicious. So all right, so John's gonna open one on the air. We're gonna have a live Goo cluster tasting.
And right here it says, how to enjoy. Tear open, place in mouth, and chew carefully.
I'm glad they have instructions.
All right, well, this thing is ginormous. Holy crap.
It's not that big.
Well, I don't know. It feels like it is. All right, well, let me have a look here. I'm opening it up.
I'll open mine too.
Yep. Come on, Nate. This is big. Look at this.
I mean, yeah. It's considered a candy bar. It's so basically it's just a round candy bar.
All right,
let's try. Let's try together. Rich is going to love this.
Oh, Rich, don't listen.
So the original is peanut caramel and nougat covered in milk chocolate. What do you think?
Not bad.
They have lots of different ones. They have peanut butter ones, and then in the factory you can make your own.
Oh, yeah, you should have got me a peanut butter one. Send them back.
So there you go, folks. And also in Nashville, they had a whole section of freeze-dried candies. Have you seen these? Something I had never heard of until literally somebody at work, like a week before we went to Nashville, gave me this to try, and I'd never heard of it before. And then I went to Nashville, and there it was. But these are, I don't know if you can see them, freeze-dried Skittles.
Oh, I've heard of those.
They kind of like explode like that. And then I've got freeze-dried gummy bears. So they explode really big.
And what are they? Like, they probably taste like what they are, but what is the texture like?
The texture is like, it kind of like very, very sticky. They'll definitely stick to your teeth, but they're pretty big. They puff up pretty big when they're freeze dried.
Oh, not bad.
There you go. So I think we're just one step closer to the food podcast. Ugh. All right. Well, folks, here we are. We've tackled the first half. We've annoyed all the people who are tuning in just to see our thoughts on this album. But we have tackled the first half of this album in our last episode. So we are going to dive into the second half of this album. And with the tracks on the album proper, I think we talked about this last time, we're going to throw in the 2 extra bonus tracks so that we'll have a total of 12 tracks. So I'll talk about those. There's a European special edition bonus track and a Japanese special edition bonus track. So we'll be covering those. So here we go. You ready to jump into the first track on the second half of this album?
Yeah, let's do it. I got a mouthful of Goo cluster.
Oh my God, Rich is going to kill you. All right, here we go.
No, I've been muting my chewing.
I keep reading this as Back to Black, but we're not doing that podcast. This one is called Back to Back.
No.
It's such a great groove and drum beat.
Oh, it sounds like rap. Riff sounds very similar to Rat Bat Blue.
Good call.
You know, not complaining.
So this is a good song to focus on the lyrics on. And I love that
Song's got a good groove to it.
That droning, like sort of that clavichord sort of sound on it. Kind of a cool switch from the clavichord to the Hammond. Although it might still be going on in the background. Or that might be Roger's bass.
Great little transition to the solo section.
Yeah, it goes into a much different feel. Really classic Morseisms, classic Morse bends.
Oh, he bends. He's lazy.
The coward's way out as a guitarist, bending notes.
The coward's way out. Listen to him bend, that coward. Well, that's really reminiscent of a classic 70s Lord solo right there.
Yeah, I love that. It's one of those Moog things that can only do one note at a time. So when you hit a note and then release the previous note, it goes woo! It like goes up to the note or down to the note, and it's just a cool effect. I'm sure there's a technical term for it that I clearly don't know.
Boy, that candy was sweet.
What's that?
That candy was very sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining. But it's like, maybe it's a nougat.
I love nougat. Very tight, abrupt ending. Very nice.
Tight. It's tight.
All right. What do you think of Back to Back?
Yeah. I like that one. I'll give it a 3.5.
All right.
Because I think it's got a good groove to it. Like I said, I feel like that there were a couple of songs on this album that were reminiscent of other Purple related stuff or even their own stuff on here, and I really think that main riff was very reminiscent of something from Rat Bat Blue.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah. So, and I have another "Who Do We Think We Are" comparison, I think, coming later.
Oh, okay.
Which may be more subtle, but but no, definitely not a bad thing. It was a good, like, it was like, I want to call it heavy, but it was a heavy song. I liked it. Had a good groove and riff.
My browser just on my other computer just crashed.
Oh, again?
Oh, good. Luckily, it just loaded the tabs right back up. So yeah, it happened the other day too. What's going on with this thing? Okay, I am gonna give this. I'm on the fence on this one, but I'm just gonna give it a 4. I really like this one. I think it's a good riff, good groove. It crashed again. What's going on here? Oh boy, this is not good. This is gonna make entering these spreadsheets a little difficult. Maybe if I close a few tabs, I don't know. But yeah, so I really like this song, and then I think we have to. We didn't talk about it during the song, but we would be remiss if we did not mention the lyrics of the song. So as I refine myself in the sheets here, Ian Gillan says there really was a survey in England to determine the number of times per day that the average man thought about sex. Really. Now, I don't know what kind of focus group they used or what the people with the clipboards actually looked like. Did the sponsors think of that? But it turns out they came to the dubious conclusion that the average man thinks about sex a certain number of times a day. It really doesn't matter for the purposes of the song. So I chose 5 arbitrarily. Why am I explaining this? So I said to the focus group around my kitchen table, I can't understand how the average man keeps losing concentration. Ian Gillan. And I read somewhere else in one of the other interviews, it was like something like the average man gets an erection 5 times a day. And I was just like, geez, you're just walking around with erection all the time. What's going on? But to put that in perspective, the lyrics, he says, the lyrics go, I read in the news that the average man is uplifted 5 times a day. I'm confused. I have to confess, my feeling never goes away. And then he kind of summarizes the whole thing. They asked the average man in a survey across the nation, I can't understand how the average man keeps losing his concentration. Very fitting. That feels like it could go
clever.
Very Gillan or Coverdale, really.
Very clever.
Yeah. So it's a song about, I don't know, is it a song about boners or is it a song about sex or I don't know. But yeah, good tune. I like the riffs. Really good stuff. And I think Steve's solo is awesome. I really love that solo, and it's cool because it's kind of like a boom ba-doo ba-doo. It's like this like bebopping song, but then when the solo comes in, it turns like really serious. Like it sounds very like almost like a Dave Gilmour or something, and then it goes right back into back to back, like this like kind of like happy-go-lucky, almost sounds like a sitcom theme, the chorus. So it's kind of that cool juxtaposition of like, this uplifting bebopping song and like this really serious moving guitar thing. We were listening to on Easter morning, we listened to Breakfast with the Beatles, and they play like covers and all this stuff. I don't even know what song they were doing, but it was a cover. And this guy was doing like this really extended guitar solo, and Jen was getting so annoyed. It's like any song that's longer than 3 minutes. And she was like, well, like they're not even saying anything. I was like, he's saying something with his guitar. And she's like, she hates it. So, all right. I keep selling her out about the, between that and the Come Taste the Band thing.
The silly goblet.
Oh, you're not on the... John's never in the Discord, so he missed our little picture that that the Gardeau posted. I gotta find it. He posted this picture. It says Nate's divorce, and it's what looks like a lawyer and a guy that kind of looks like me in the witness stand, and what looks like a lawyer holding a copy of Come Taste the Band because it'll be cited in the divorce. It's great. All right. So next track up is the song Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye. Like a sing, sing, sing sort of intro. You really expect like horns or like a big band thing to start up. Some weird like stereo extra Gillan tracks. Very he's just like destroying everything in his path. Reminds me of Dawn Patrol by Megadeth. The lyrics, not the music. Very like long lingering delay on those last lines he's given out. I think that scream he does before this section is one of his best screams in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, he really captured something good right there.
Nice. It's definitely an interesting dynamic of having this like big band style drum with this kind of like heavy, like descending discordant chords. Like it sounds like you could make the song sound so much more heavy metal with a different drum thing. I'm glad that they didn't, but
well, yeah, that's really a standout of the song is the drums, because they're so different.
Yeah, it's a big band. It's a big band thing. I love that effect of the like hitting a final, like hitting and holding a final chord, both guitar and organ together, and letting them both, like the sustain just kind of wear out, and like they're kind of almost fighting for volume between the two at the very end. So you can like hear one higher in the mix, and that's a cool effect. All right, John, as I refined my way on this spreadsheet, what do you think of this one?
I'll give a 3. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I think I always like when Ian Paice does something a little outside the box on the drums. I mean, we could have a lot of people talk about stuff that he's done. This part here and there, and I tend to notice the more obvious stuff. That he does. This burn the mule. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's you know what I mean? It's like where there's other things where it's just like, oh, listen to this thing he does like right here at like 2:45. It's like I that stuff is lost on me because I'm not a drummer. I don't pay that much attention. But yeah, when it's like the main like drum riff or whatever you want to call it, then yeah, it's it definitely made the song more interesting than I guess it could have been. But yeah, it was pretty decent. It was a little I maybe a little plodding at times, but
yeah,
overall like not bad. So
yeah, I'll give this one a 3 as well. And yeah, it's just like it's a very frantic song, and Gillan's, I don't know, he's taking the role of, I don't know, the bringer of Armageddon or the destruction of the world or whatever it is. It's just kind of saying all these things, which is why I said it reminded me of Dawn Patrol, just in lyrics. And obviously his voice is a touch stronger than Dave Mustaine's, and he didn't do that at the end.
That would have been disturbing.
Would have been. But yeah, it's a good song. It transitions well into the next one, but I don't have any notes on this one. I tried to find some information. There's 2 songs I couldn't really find anything out about, and this is one of them. So They kind of abandoned the previous few albums concept of giving like a rundown of what they did in the studio and how the songs came about. So, I mean, there might be something out there, but I don't seem to have it. So if anybody does have any information on the song, please reach out and let us know. But there's tons of information on the next song. A rather obvious critique on this song, which I think we've talked about in the past many years ago. But this song is called MTV.
I was driving through the night into an endless tunnel of fog.
And this, I forgot to mention, is bonus track for the European edition.
Hypnotized, far beyond belief. I was listening to the same old song. I know every lick, every word, every nuance. I'm on first name terms with the crew. But I better get used to this coup du jour. Sure as hell they won't play anything new. Oh yes, I love you, really, classic rock radio. Oh my dear, it's time for bed. Time for me to go, everyone's asleep.
I like how he calls it poop du jour.
The establishment considered that the uncontrolled appreciation
Like that, the guitar under the verse.
Yeah.
It's like that Tom Petty living on a dream. Has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Oh yes, I love you, really, I stand to attention. Oh Fanny, I love you, dear.
So this is obviously not a subtle song.
Let's not talk about MTV. I don't even want to start. I want to take a look at classic rock radio. We're talking about the state of the art.
Definitely a very different sort of riff.
Yeah.
You looked shocked by that.
Wasn't expecting that.
Got some nice earphone candy on this one, some nice delay. Going from speaker to speaker. So obviously, like I said, pretty unsubtle dig on... He talked a lot in interviews around this time about how much he hated classic rock radio, so... Which... I don't blame him for it all. And then the next verse coming up is probably the most well-known in the song. Or most quoted. After the solo here.
That little build-up to this solo is almost very Space Truckin'-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Look how they've just gone off into this great jam.
Yeah, this is great.
Let's not talk about MTV. I don't even want to start. I want to take a look at classic rock radio. We're talking about the state of the art. Mr. Grover, Mr. Gillian, oh, you must have made $1 million on the night Frank Zappa caught on fire. Could you tell us all about it? Keep it short and use my version, huh? Everyone out there think I'm a liar. If you can speak about bananas for 1 second, just because I understand you have to get them off your chest. In the meantime, while you're talking, could you do some more of these here ideas? This station might maintain some interest. Oh yeah, oh yeah, I love you.
Kind of has that anyone's daughter style singing there.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Wow, I love you really. Something I missed.
So again, obviously, not you don't have to read between the lines on this one. And I totally, it's one of those things like on the one hand, it's kind of like, all right, I get it, but that at the other hand, I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. It must be so annoying. Like when we talked to Don years ago, and he was talking about how many times they have to answer the question about, and something having to do with smoke on the water or something, where it's just like, I don't know why interviewers do that. Not that I'm any great interviewer, but like, I don't know why they ask the same questions that they've been asked a million times. Like, why wouldn't you do like a little bit of research? But like the whole point of them having they hate classic rock radio because they have, I mean, how many songs do you think, like, what was it, WZLX that we grew up with? How many songs do you think they had? 20? 30? It was just always the same. You knew what was coming next. It was going to be Werewolves of London or China Grove or something like that. And it was just
they'd always have their favorites. Yeah,
they just played the same stuff. And I get to the point where I never want to hear any of those songs again.
So in the song, did he say Mr. Gillan and Grover?
Yeah, Mr. Grover and Mr. Gillian.
All right, yeah, I figured that was on purpose, like mispronouncing their names.
Yeah, you must have made $1 million the night that Frank Zappa caught on fire. Which is like, shows the level of research done. But I get it. I mean, it's got to be super annoying doing these same. And then, he talked about getting them to do station IDs. This is Ian Gillan, and you're listening to Classic Rock Radio. Not a very good impression. But yeah, I totally get it. But again, not super subtle. So what do you say about MTV?
This one really kind of won me over. I'm going to give it a 4.
Really? All right.
Yeah, it had a lot of cool stuff going on in it. I really enjoyed it. Some musical nods to earlier Purple, which I feel like I'm finding a lot more in this album than I am in one of their more contemporary albums. So
was this the 4th album with Morris?
Yeah,
that's getting almost more towards their roots.
But I mean, I don't know. I think it's it's definitely it had a lot going on in it. It was I thought it was really, really cool, really creative.
All right. I will give this one a 3. I like it, but I think that the lyrics have always just been a little too on the nose for me. Like, I get it again, but I mean, it's funny and it's clever, but it's one of those things, like, to me, with repeated listens is kind of like, okay, I don't see myself singing along to it as much. But it's it's good. I really like the instrumental break in it. I think it's really strong.
Good jam.
But it's a good tune. There's a lot to be said about this, a lot of interviews and a lot of stuff. I'll have a bunch of stuff in the show notes about it. But for example, it's mostly Roger Glover says, I went to a radio station when Bananas came out and did a long, in-depth interview about Bananas and Don and Bradford and all the interest in the new album. And the guy says, it's been great having Roger Glover in the studio. Now let's hear some music. And then he sings the famous first few notes from Smoke on the Water and sighs deeply. He says, I know I shouldn't complain about people playing our records. It's just frustrating when they play the same 2 or 3 all the time. And which is true. And I think we talked about that in our Machine Head album. Like on you will hear on classic rock radio in the United States anyway, you'll hear Highway Star, Smoke on the Water, Space Truckin', Hush, you'll hear, but I don't know, would you hear anything else? Maybe like My Woman from Tokyo, or Woman from Tokyo, I should say.
Yeah.
But like, really, you're not hearing anything else that I
yeah.
can, unless I'm
They do
missing
play-
something.
They do play those two quite a bit.
Yep. And then Gillan says, it's about classic rock radio, and kind of like what I said before. He says, I come to the conclusion that more traffic accidents are caused by classic rock radio than by drink driving, because people are falling asleep at the wheel through total boredom because they play the same old songs over and over again. And so there's another little story behind it. Roger was doing an interview in upstate New York station for about half an hour, and he was talking about the album Bananas, but the girl kept going back to old historical classic rock things. And at the end of the interview, she said, good luck with the new album, and thanks for coming in. And here's some Deep Purple. Yeah, Smoke on the Water. And they didn't play the new record. I think it's a very healthy attitude to be disrespectful of these things and poke a little fun at them. So... yeah, there's a few other things in there. What else does he say? Yeah. Anyway, so that's it. I mean, but it's almost like what year did this album come out? 2005. Like taking I don't know. It's like when you meet people. It's like, oh yeah, remember when MTV used to play music? It's like the old joke. At this point, the joke's like 20 years old. They just don't. It's like,
yeah.
I get it, but we know, this is well treaded territory, and this album is almost 20 years old, and I feel like even 20 years ago, it was pretty old.
Yeah, I mean, it was
like MTV.
Yeah, I mean, there was
know.
Years before that they stopped playing music. Anyways, it was friggin' game shows and reality shows and maybe a little music on the side. It happened way sooner than this.
It happened a long time ago.
So I mean, you go now, it's like
I think
MTV's not even a thing.
In the late 90s, I think they still had some of those call-in shows and stuff. So, it was probably a little fresher then, but I feel like we were making these jokes around this time. But anyway, it is what it is. Okay. The next track up is a song called Junkyard Blues.
Nice kind of heavy groove.
Like that weird sort of, I don't even know what you'd call it, what Paice is doing. He's speeding it up a little and then slowing it back down. He's playing
Tempo?
ahead of the beat. Or behind the beat. One of the two.
See, now this part, the way he's singing, it reminds me of Mary Long.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's just
good
like
call.
the
yeah.
just
It
the
sounds like
little
the
bit of
chorus
the
of Mary
melody
Long.
and the little bit of the melody and the way his voice sounds with the no reverb. It's just very dry vocals.
I have to listen again on the next chorus. Yeah, I can hear that. It's got a similar kind of feel to it.
Yeah. There's a couple of Who Do We Think We Are comparisons.
I'm never opposed to that.
And me, of all people, picking them up.
Well, Rich got me a little excited about at first when he almost convinced me they were re-releasing Who Do We Think We Are? And this would be a Who Do We Think We Are sort of thing, like a Woman from Tokyo little interlude.
Mm-hmm.
The Rapture of the Who Do We Think We Are?
Nah, didn't land.
Who Do We Think We Rapture? No, even worse.
Nice bright piano sound.
Yeah, it's great. Weird reference that I don't think I've ever made, but it almost sounds like it could be a fish breakdown, the way the piano sounds. And I don't draw comparisons between them very often. I like this part where he's like doing this little back and forth with Don. Oh, the bass is doing some nasty little fills.
I was going to say, Roger's just grooving it out there. Ah, China Boy. Love it. Love it.
The whistle and the yeah. Sounds like ever hear that song Minimum Wage by They Might Be Giants?
Maybe.
It's like a lot of their songs are like 20 seconds long, and it's just like this. They just go like minimum wage, yeah, and then it's like that's it. And then there's like a little whistle. I think the song might be like less than 10 seconds long, but it always just cracked me up. I don't know why minimum wage or whatever, but it's just a funny song for me. Yeah. All right, Junkyard Blues, John. What make you of it?
I'll give that a 3. I'll give it a 3.5.
All right.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff going on there.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Moving on.
A lot of good stuff going on in there. It's there's just, I think there's some like really cool songs on here. I just really, they have a lot of different parts to them, and they're just exploring like different sounds. You know what I mean? They don't just have one drum sound, or Don Airey's not just doing the Hammond. He's doing piano, and he's doing the what was he doing the other? The Fender Rhodes, or the what did you call it?
He had like an electric piano on one of the songs. He was
electric
doing like a
piano,
clavinet.
That was it. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff. Sometimes Roger's bass just kind of pops out of nowhere. Gillan is sounding really good. I mean, of course, Morse, he's doing a bunch of great stuff as per usual. I think it's. I am enjoying this listen.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give this one a 4, and I didn't even pick up on the Mary Long thing really until you mentioned it. But, I really like it. I like the I like it's a very interesting arrangement. It's got all these different parts, like the
that was very cool.
It's just all these different. It's not just a standard verse chorus, which they don't often do anyway.
Right.
And then that whole thing between him and where he like with him. I keep saying him, and I don't reference it, between Morse and Airey.
Him and
Airey. But where him. That's like the thing that kids say now. You're not him.
Oh,
You're not
what?
him.
Who's him?
I don't know. Like I think it's supposed to mean you're like not that cool when you say that. I guess.
Let me
kid-
guess. Your kids say it to you?
No, they don't say it to me. But one of the there's a kid at school that says it to my son, but he has like a speech impediment, and he's like. So my son does an impression of him, and it's wrong. But I mean, he's saying a mean thing to my son. So he's like, but he says it with the speech impediment. So my son, like he's like, oh, that kid. He's like, you're not him, Martin. So he says it back. You're not him. I think it's like one of those things they do to tease each other. But my son just doesn't take kindly to being told he's not him.
Yeah, he wants to be him.
You're not
I
him.
get it.
Well, Steve Morse is him, and in more ways than one. And the way he holds out and then while he's holding the note, Don Airey does like some piano thing, and then it kind of like what they were doing, or at least what he was doing with McBride. Was it Hush or Black Knight, where they were doing like a back and forth, and every time it would get like shorter and shorter until it was like they were just trading off like a 1 bar each or something. It was just like a cool back and forth, and they kind of did something similar here. But yeah, I really like that one. Usually I'm not a big fan of a song that has the word blues in the title. But this one isn't like a blues song, like,
well, yeah, that's the thing. It's not,
you'd hear blues and you'd be like, oh, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. You'd be like, oh God, I'm already tired of it. Yeah. I went down to the junkyard. I saw some old beat up cars.
All right. That's
Yeah, enough of that. We could do that all night. But yeah, I like the fact that it's not a standard blues song. So, Gillan said in an interview, he said, this is a very literal song, but not like the previous song. It's a little bit more, the lyrics are a little more subtle, but he says, I spent a lot of time in junkyards when I was a kid. I used to sleep in old cars and stuff like that after going to parties, and used to rake around the junkyards looking for old bits and pieces. Even when we were kids, we used to go to junkyards looking for old wheels and bits of metal and lumps of wood to make toys and make trolleys and stuff like that. At the White City, there was this huge junkyard and scrap metal yard, and cars and trash cars and whatever needs. Find all kinds of stuff there, and always ran out of money. I could never afford the fare home, so I'd walk halfway, and it would start raining or whatever. I'd climb into one of these old cars, and you could smell the leather, and maybe another car crash or been dumped by somebody, thrown away. You start thinking about what were these old people's possessions. At one time, they were good for something, another good for nothing, but at least they gave me a place to sleep during the night. So talking about his youth there, I also I had a junkyard right in my backyard growing up, like right behind that embankment, right by the river. There was this big junkyard, so we used to play down there all the time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like right behind, like if you went by the trees, right by the railroad tracks, there was like a whole junkyard there.
No, I know what you're talking about. I mean, we never went down there, but I didn't know you when you were a kid.
Yeah, you'd go down there and look for you'd find like an old refrigerator to play with or something. Super safe activity. Oh,
an old refrigerator to play with.
Just get in this old refrigerator with the little latch, that you can't open from the inside.
Oh yeah, watch out! There was a very special episode on Punky Brewster about that.
Yeah,
the dangers of getting locked in fridges.
Yeah, Cherry got I was scared to death after that episode came out. I was like, I wasn't going near a refrigerator.
Yeah, so the episode did its job.
Yeah, exactly. Scared the shit out of our generation.
Yeah. Just like what is it? Friggin' what was that? Different Strokes, Arnold in the bicycle shop.
I don't remember that one.
No. Oh, Arnold and his friend went to the bike shop, and that old guy like molested his friend.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was rough.
He's like, "You guys want some wine?" I'm like, "They're friggin' 8. Like, what is he doing?" Like it was very. I mean, the 80s were wild, man. I remember that. I was just like, watched it when I was older, and I was just like, how did this even air? Like, I mean, it was. They did those those very special episodes as like warnings and stuff like that. But I mean, it was pretty graphic. He walks in, the kid doesn't have a shirt on. It's just like,
yeah.
He's like, "Hey, what's going on? Don't tell your dad." It's like,
remember that? Yeah, there was
okay,
that
I won't.
episode of All in the Family too, where that guy tried to assault Edith. She like, threw something at him or something and ran out, like clutching her shirt or whatever. It's like, geez.
Yeah, she like just raked his eyes and ran out. She's like, Archie. And he's like,
it was definitely.
What'd you get assaulted there, Edith? You meathead.
Oh, you used to call her a
dingbat.
Dingbat.
Was it dingbat?
Yeah.
You silly dingbat.
Oh, but yeah, that was it was weird because they'd have these shows that were always like a punchline every 10 seconds, and then all of a sudden there's an episode where it's like, wait, like you're like watching the episode and you're like, oh wait, oh no, like I have this huge shift I have to make in my my mood right now because I just wasn't used to I wasn't expecting this. But anyway.
All right, how do we get to this?
Did we even rank this one yet? Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah, we did. We forgot.
Yeah, the junkyard in my backyard. My dad was all mad when it was like this abandoned junkyard, and then the city like got rid of it and turned it into like a soccer field and a bike path. And
Makes sense.
It's really nice now. My dad was all mad. Oh, they're putting a soccer field in down there. It's going to be all loud music all the time and blah, blah. I was like, Dad, it was an abandoned junkyard. It's going to be much nicer now.
I don't want to.
It was an operational junkyard when I was a kid, and we would go there because even though it was right in my backyard, it was down like, I don't know, 100 feet down a cliff in my backyard. So we'd have to drive around to bring our stuff. And they had one of those like those big compactors, like almost like Star Wars style. And you'd throw stuff in there and it would just like crush it. And there was like no guardrail, nothing. It was just like you're on the pit and you just like throw this thing in and watch it get crushed. And
yikes.
Yeah, it's a little scary. But I'm still here. Okay. So this will be the final track on the album. If you were to get the standard edition before the Japanese bonus track. And this next track is called Before Time Began. Okay, so this part right here, that guitar.
Yeah.
This is this game that my kids play called Fortnite. And the beginning of this game sounds exactly like that.
Well, it's almost like a spaghetti western sounding guitar.
Yeah, the first time I played that Fortnite, though, I was like, wait a second. I don't know if they stole it from Deep Purple because it sounds exactly like that. Maybe the chords might be slightly different, but it's the same feel. But I love the effect.
That's all we need. Without them, we're worthless. How we come so far. But then again, all we see is more of the same. It's getting crowded here. We agree, no doubt. Dear brother, what's it all about? Hey, you over there, why don't you throw down your spear? We all need some help right now. Where are we going from here? Way things are working out. Won't be too long before we have to move. Better start thinking about it while there's still time to choose.
very that first third of the song is kind of this setup here.
Yeah, I feel like it's trying to be this kind of epic.
This little bass groove there. A very cool little run there.
Every day of my life I discover someone murdering my sisters and brothers.
I like the build up. I like what it built up to.
Yeah.
What do you know?
I still don't get how this playing by Morse is that much faster than what he did later on with Ezrin. That bass groove is awesome.
I'm glad that they let it sit out front there.
Every day of my life I discover someone murdering my sisters and brothers in the name of some god or another.
That little one part almost sounds like a Dream Theater song. Now they go into like the same thing as the intro, but it's like he's doing it like distorted on the guitar.
Right, yeah.
All those bad ideas became the law. Oh yeah, we've forgotten what we're looking for. How are you, angels? It's time to gather your wings, leave it all behind. You won't need any of those things. We're going on through the darkness, hand in hand, to step into the future before time began.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't on board with the song
For those
at the beginning,
your chosen gods,
but
may your
as it built up, I definitely enjoyed it more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at the beginning it almost cool album closing here too. You just wonder at the beginning is this just gonna be a little too self-indulgent? But
Right, yeah.
it kind of branches out. And the lyrics, it's about, religion and, killing your sister and brother and common things to rail against, which makes sense. But it sounds like
Mhm.
I guess it just sounds like it's going to be a lot more avant-garde and pretentious than it ends up being.
Right,
Which
yeah.
is good.
or just like at the very least slow and boring. Like it could have just stayed like that through the whole thing and just been a bunch of noodling and stuff, and instead it built on itself and was actually interesting.
Yeah.
Like it turned out to be a good song.
All right. What do you think of this one?
I liked it. I'll give it a 3.5. I probably would have given it a 4 if it were a little shorter and it made its way to the good parts. The non-quiet parts. Like I'll give it points for for the build up and for the heavier parts or the way that it built on itself. But like I said, if the beginning kind of fakes you out, it makes you think it's not going to be all that it was. But I thought it was like a really good kind of epic album closer.
Yep.
I liked it.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5 as well. I like it. I think, like you said, that beginning part that they duplicated again with the distorted guitar, I think the second time it was probably about half as long. I think if that first time it was half as long as well, it might have, it could have been in 4 territory for me as well. But I do like it. I like, and what I always like about it with them, and a lot of the things you see from interviews with them at this time period is a lot of like, basically, we don't give a shit about getting played on the radio because we're not going to get played on the radio anyway. So we're not afraid to do a 6-minute song, a 10-minute song, whatever it takes, because they're not realistically going to be playing Deep Purple on the radio in 2005. So they've kind of made their peace with that. They might get a play on 1 or 2 of the songs on some specific hard rock station, but it's not that they're going to be in regular rotation. So they took some chances with that. And I love that the fact that they are always taking chances like that. They're not trying to get the radio hit because their days of doing that are pretty much over. And for a band of this nature and this time frame, it's not going to happen. So that takes us to the final track, the Japanese bonus track, and this one is called Things I Never Said. Almost starts off like a Wring That Neck or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, sounded very classic Purple.
Don't get me started. Let's get it right. There's no use talking about it deep into the night. Don't ask about secrets I can tell. I'm gonna keep them to myself. No
Nice.
Hell yeah.
no time to think about it, even once or twice. No second chances, looking down the road. When there's the only way to go. It makes me wonder what's going on inside my head. Well, could it be the pressure that I'm under? Makes me forget the things I never said. I can't remember, I can't forget. Take it from me, there's not a moment of regret. Since the day I learned to tie my shoes, I found a horse where the news. It makes me wonder what's going on inside my head. Well, could it be the pressure that I'm under? Makes me forget the things I never said.
I like it. The song's got momentum.
Yeah. And those little unison runs are pretty cool. That was cool. Into like a little Bach fugue here. Ah, Bach.
Yeah, very early Purple vibes.
It's hard to swallow.
Nice.
It's hard to take. When I think about it now, my knees begin to shake. Never came to me to mention at the time. Tell the truth, never crossed my mind. It makes me wonder what's going on inside my head. Where could it be the pressure that I'm under? Makes me forget the things I never said. Makes me wonder what's going on inside my head. Could it be the pressure that I'm under? Makes me forget the things I never said.
All right. There you are. Things I Never Said. Japanese bonus track. All right. What do you think about that one? You're all right?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I'm going back and forth on this one. I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, all right.
I liked it. It had a good momentum. It was rocking. Even got a second of Roger in there.
Yep.
Gillan's vocals were good. I like that this was the one song where they had little effects on them, so they thickened it up a little bit and sounded like classic Gillan. He sang great through this whole album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then just some very classic Purple callbacks again with the really kind of classical infused organ interlude there. I mean, I thought it was great.
All right. I'll give this one a 3. I don't think it landed as well for me, but it was a good track. I could see. Yeah, I mean, it's hard with all these different versions of albums coming out at this time. You've got 2 songs here that were additions in different areas, and I get it. They had to try to do something to get people to buy multiple copies or get imports or whatever it was to counteract everybody listening to everything on streaming or whatever. Not that streaming was really necessarily big at this point, but stealing music sure was. And listening to things in other ways. So you had to do something to get people interested.
Stole a lot of music and got a lot of computer viruses.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. The funny thing is, though, it's like in the Napster days and everything, I think like most of the stuff you downloaded is stuff you wouldn't have bought in a million years anyway. It wasn't.
Well, yeah, because you're just like, I want to try it out.
Yeah, it's like, I'm never listening to that again. That was crap or whatever. It's like. But anyway, don't want to get in a whole Napster discussion. But Things I Never Said, the interview with Ian Gillan. The interviewer says, Things I Never Said was not included in Rapture the Deep album, despite the fact that the song is being performed live at just about every show. And Ian Gillan says, sorry, it's not on the album? It sure is. And then he says, well, no, it's not on the US release. It's on the Japanese bonus track. And Gillan says, oh, I have no idea what's on anything anymore. Apparently there's a new Deep Purple DVD out and I didn't even know about that. So there you go. And then he laughs. And then the interviewer says it's one of his favorite songs on the album. And Gillan says, good. It's a wonderful transition from 6/8 rhythm to swing, 4/4 swing. And it's a very clever transition. It works very well on stage and starts the set off in one of those embracing ways musically. There's no break between the first 4 or 5 songs. We just go bang, 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 and it works. And then Ian Paice says, yeah, there's not one bad track there, but you get caught in a situation where you have to hold one back for the Japanese. It's not the track I would have left off. We couldn't make up our mind which track had to go off. So in the end, we just left it to the record company. We all had different ideas. So, in the end, 4 of us, maybe all of us, won't be happy. Who knows? So there you go. That's his take on that track, which brings us to, while John is busting out the spreadsheet, I am going to do something, which is to thank our core level patrons. So coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier, we have Michael Vader. At the $6.99 the new nice price tier, we have Spike the Rock Cat and Sugar Tea. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell and Arthur Smith.
Getting support from the patron Arthur Smith.
Anton Glaving and Charles Meadows. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Richie Sucksmith. At the $6 What's Going On Here tier, Richard Fusey. At the $5.99 The Nice Price tier, Robert Smith and Carl Hellberg. At the 60 kroner Scandinavian Nights tier, we have Newt Morton Johansson.
It's a great life if you know we can. It's a
And at the $5 Moneylender tier, we have John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Elman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, Kev Roberts, Percival Frequency, Scott Zern, Cynthia Doobie, Raf Calf, Coyote Bongwater, and John Maselli.
I thought Brooklyn was loud.
All right, I guess you had to be there. I forgot what happened in that episode. Yay! All right, folks. Well, you know what time it is.
Well, John's busting out the spreadsheets, and he's fumbling with the tabs. Oops, he sorted it the wrong way. Now he can't tell what is bad.
All right, John, where does Deep Purple's Rapture of the Deep come in the overall album rankings?
I don't know. I can't find it.
Oh, it's one of those again. All right, let me do this.
I always want to tell you, but you're always reading the patrons and then you play the spreadsheet song, so I have to wait.
Oh, here we go. I think I should have it in just a second. Here, let's go. Why does only one of them work? Only your rankings are working. Mine aren't working.
Because my ratings are the only ones that are worth a damn.
Apparently. What is going on? Always something. Oh, I think I know why. All right, let me just I can fix this on the fly. Yeah, I know what it is. All right, so let's do this. All right. That didn't work either. All right. You know what? While I'm doing this, what can I do? Oh, you know what? Let's have a chat and we can calm down and listen to some humpback whale noises. Oh, this one's not a very good humpback whale noise. Oh, there we go. That's better. That's kind of what I expected.
He's lonely. No, you're lonely. There we go.
There we go. Okay. It's all settled. All right. Settle down, humpback whales. John's gonna sort the spreadsheet now. Let's see where this lands. Oh, where is it?
All right.
I can't find it.
Yeah.
Can you find it?
Yep.
Okay, good.
All right, here we go. So, Rapture of the Deep is probably, it's in the middle. It's somewhere in the middle. 7.5.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, I see it now. Yep.
Yeah, and hey, look at that! I liked it slightly better than Nate. What do you know?
Hey,
A newer Deep Purple album.
there you go.
We now up at in this area we have a lot of 7.5s,
Oh yeah, right in a row.
including but not limited to Teaser by Tommy Bolin,
Mm-hmm.
Play Me Out by Glenn Hughes, Glory Road by Gillan, and right underneath by a fraction there, Coverdale Page.
A tiny bit. Yeah.
And yeah, for good measure, Ritchie's Rainbow.
The first Ritchie Blackmore's a Rainbow. Ritchie Blackmore's a Rainbow. Blackmore's a Rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow.
It's in good company.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, there was slight variance between our ratings, but not much. We both clearly enjoyed this album, and I think the albums that surrounds it are a testament to that. I would say yes, this is a good album. I would definitely listen to tracks off of it again. Yeah, I think overall it was really good. Horrible production though.
It's absolutely
Horrendous. No, I was actually thinking, especially toward the end, like I really, I don't know if it was the headphones or whatever, but I like the way that Paice's drums were produced. They were very like, and again, I'm not a drum guy, so I don't know. Some people might be like, "Oh God, how do you like that?" Sounds like he's playing a wet cardboard box, but or something. But I just like how it just, I don't know. I feel like everything on the album was like really dry, and I kind of like that production sometimes.
Mhm.
Machine Head in a lot of ways was like that. It was just very straight ahead, dry production. The third Kiss album, Dress to Kill, was the same way. Just not a ton of like bells and whistles and effects, and just very, like almost alive in the studio type of feel. But the drums had this really, I think especially in the last song, he was kind of doing that kind of drum, that military drum roll thing, and it was like in the center, and then you started to hear the other drum parts like in stereo, and I just thought it was mixed really interesting. I mean, I thought it was, the guitars sounded good, the bass, Gillan sounded amazing. I mean, it's at this point I was just like, wow. Some of the other albums, like, yeah, all right, he's still sounding good, but this one I'm like, he turned in a great performance on this one.
Yeah.
I think they all did.
Yeah.
And airey, very, very, varied with the different, sounds and styles that he was doing. A lot of stuff that was reminiscent of classic Purple, which I don't know if they were doing it on purpose or if it was just in their DNA or whatever. But I mean, it's, this album sat very well with me, better than I thought.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. I again, listening to it critically and paying attention, I just don't see this wild, crazy bad production that people talk about. I just don't see it at all. You could make arguments for the style and say, well, I don't like that they put that much delay on this or that, but like it's a good sounding album to me. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before we move on into the bulk of the reviews and such, we do have something to do.
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up this door.
So, we have a bunch of stuff sent to us by the wonderful Jeff Bryce, as always. I can share my screen with you if I can figure out how to do it. I'm on a different computer this time. Here we go. So, as far as the stuff, so one of them actually is a review, and this one is from Classic Rock Magazine, and it says, another purple patch. Breathe easy. Ian Gillan and co. aren't exactly treading water these days. If you're expecting a bunch of all-out rockers in the Machine Head mold, look away now. The latest album from Deep Purple, Mark 8, is loose and brooding, dark and distinctly moody. For a good reference point, fans with long memories should think No One Came, the meandering experimental track on the band's 1971 album Fireball. Recorded in just 5 weeks from scratch, Rapture benefits hugely from the lack of pre-studio forethought. There's a spark that's been missing from DP releases of recent past. The band sounds simultaneously laid back and assertive as they concoct a haphazard selection of songs that may not be classics of the Perps pantheon, but are damn intriguing all the same. So he goes into talk about a few different things on the album. He talks about Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye having this angry political message, Before Time Began delivering the same vibe but in a drifting absent fashion, Money Talks being the standout Purple song, and Girls Like That have had the classic swirling, stabbing riffs, but their choruses are deceptively commercial, which is a good point. Like, I think a lot of the choruses on this album are kind of like come off as being more commercial than you'd expect. So it says, keyboardist Don Airey is more to the fore, offering some excellent Hawkwind isms on Money Talks, for example, but in truth, Rapture is a showcase for Purple as a whole, not as individual players. Even multi-talented guitarist Steve Morse, who according to the press release is soon to be knighted, as always, has anyone told Her Majesty, is happy to lock himself into the groove. So yeah, I don't know if that's a inside joke or something, but then it says, there's also a sense of humor on bonus track MTV. Singer Ian Gillan takes a dig at airheaded media types. And then it says, how dare he be so disparaging about my favorite Deep Purple track, Smock on the Daughter. And this is, looks like 7 out of 10 cubes, squares. They use squares to, it's like, so they're filled up. There's 7 red squares and 3 white ones. So that's a pretty good review. Then there's this little ad for HMV for the album coming out. There's a picture of his, a nice legal pad. There's his copy of Rapture the Deep, which I actually, where's mine? I ordered one. I think it's the same one that I ordered. Mine was like in very good condition, and it's, I don't know if you can even see now, but it's got these horrible like water stains on it, and then I opened it up and there's a big like rip. So I messaged the guy, I'm like, very good, really? It looks like there's like
Do you respond?
They're like, yeah, I'll give you $3 off or something. I was like, whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, let me put that back. So yeah, so there's that copy. There's this is the, I think, tour edition copy. It's the 2 CD one that has the bonus track as well as the CD2 with some live versions. There's the little tin version, which I also have around here somewhere. Opens up. And then he's got this record, which is more of a like stylistically like that original design we looked at last time. And there's the LP with the squiggly man. And then there's the Japanese version. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Some pretty good stuff there. Thank you, Jeff, for sending that along. Appreciate it. And then I've got, so as far as the reception to this album, it peaked on the Billboard's top independent albums chart position at number 43. In the US, it says in the US, the album sold 2,500 copies during the first week. In the UK, the album sold 3,500 copies during the first week and 1,200 copies the week after. So dealing with some smallish numbers here, but again, this is kind of the dawning of a different age. This is not Deep Purple in their heyday, and this is not physical media in its heyday either. Gillan says, we moved on with this record, which I still call an album because an album is a collection of songs or photographs or experiences which represent one specific time in your life with a group of people. And I think it should be the same with a rock band. He gave this interview at, I have like 1 million links in the show notes to this one because this is kind of like when this is probably the first album they released when the internet was really strong. Even Bananas 2002, people were on the internet, but it wasn't like, and it really picked up after that. So there's going to be 1 million links if you want to check out any of these interviews. This is of an old defunct interview that I had to get off the Wayback Machine, but Ian Gillan says, it's completely fresh. In fact, this is one of the most enjoyable records in a creative sense we've ever done. Very similar to how we worked in 69 and 70. The band was very hot, and there was not a single note or word written or preconceived notion about how the album would be. Ian Paice says, obviously, I think it's very good. I think because we don't decide that the audience do. But there's some very, very good stuff on there. The album was very easy to make, very quick. And when the recording is easy and fast, it usually means that the songs are correct. You're not trying to find something which is not in the song. So that goes on with a bunch of stuff like that. I'll have a lot of these links in the show notes. Then Ian Pace is asked about working with Michael Bradford again. He said, how was it to work with him? He said, easier this time than the last time. And the last time was easy. And it says because he was the new guy, he said, yeah, Michael's input was a lot less on this record. We didn't need any of his ideas for songs because we were just coming up with so much. Plus, I think Michael's been very, very busy anyway, so I don't think he was in a position to stop on any ideas that we may have liked. But as I said, that wasn't necessary. Anyway, Michael's contribution on the record was one of, again, getting the work ethic correct so that we could work efficiently. Not crazy, but every day was a productive day. There wasn't a bad day where you went home, didn't achieve anything. They were always great days. And there were some situations where they played live with Michael Bradford, not Michael Bagford. And there's one interview, I forgot where it was, where I think it's Ian Gillan says something along the lines of like, Michael, he says, oh, Michael Bradford, he's this big black guy. So he thought it would be funny if he called himself Ritchie More Black. It was pretty good. So he says here, so I guess the chart positions, in Germany it reached number 10, Finland 11. And they had their normal good luck in Scandinavia. England, it reached number 81. That was for the debut, so not too bad. But again, it was a weird time. So what else we got? So then we got reviews. And I think, so one of them I sent away for this magazine, Terrorizer. So I couldn't find anybody that had it, so I got Terrorizer. Look at that. Heavy metal magazine from England. I've got a little Deep Purple coaster keeping my place in where it was. But this is from issue number 138. And I don't know what the hell date it came out. But here's their review. If I open it up, where is it? Deep Purple, Rapture of the Deep. If ever there was a band past their sell-by date, it's Deep Purple. One of the greatest hard rock bands that the world has ever known, these days they're reduced to attempting to recreate past glories on stage while churning out uninspired efforts like this. If you think that's harsh, consider what 1970s Purple gave us alongside everything between the reformation in 1984 and now, over 20 years later. Not good, is it? Money talks and Wrong Man flirt briefly with beefy riffs. And the title track is engaging enough, but the songwriting quickly loses focus and reverts to dad rock autopilot. More than anything else, what Deep Purple 2005 lack is fire. The classic lineup, which gave us In Rock and Machine Head, simply exploded on stage. And in the studio, Rapture of the Deep, however, is a decidedly damp squib. 4 out of 10.
I mean, that's kind of short-sighted. I mean, it's like they were like in their 20s when those albums came out. You're not going to have that same kind of energy when you're in your 50s.
Tell me about it. And I'm not quite there yet.
But I don't know. I disagree. I think it's a good album.
Yeah, I too. Yeah, and I think, I mean, it's the standard thing, right? If you're comparing this to what they did 25 years earlier or 30 years earlier or whatever, it's, yeah, I mean, it's,
yeah.
They're
I mean,
in their 50s, they were in their 50s at this point.
And I mean, In Rock was a different time, so.
Yes, very different.
I mean, compare it to contemporary albums, either other ones they've made or what else was out at the time. That's what you should be doing.
Right. From Darker Than Blue issue 58 in July 2007. They didn't get around to really. They didn't get around to reviewing this until 2007. Overall, the record has a very strange feel to it in terms of the mix. Ian Paice fans will go gaga over his drumming as I did. I've not heard the man playing with such hard-hitting abandon and skill for a good long while. And he clearly had a lot of enjoyment laying these parts down. Yet Paice's hard work seems often to be frittered away in the mix. There's a lifeless sound in places where something has come between what he laid down and what we're hearing. Worse, on some tracks, his cymbals all seem thrown into the right-hand speaker and left to splash around without being part of the sound. My other first impression was that Ian Gillan was way too high in the mix, with the rest of the band kind of lumped together in the background. Subsequent plays have modified this view, but not much. Don brings us an interesting keyboard intro to Money Talks, not unlike an updating of the old Speed King studio opening, but then promptly gets thrown into the very bottom of the mix for most of the track. So this is where we're seeing, I think, people complaining about the mix. Wrong Man has certainly got the live potential. The guitar solo peps proceedings up, and then closing passages chug along with real intensity. I'd have lapped up another few minutes of this with Ian and Steve bouncing off of each other to great effect. Onto the title track. It does feel a little like they all got their heads together and thought, we could do with revising Perfect Strangers, and it sounds like a self-conscious because of this. It's the closing couple of minutes which really do the job for me. Pacey on cracking form, backed up by the others. And it's one of the songs that have stuck in my brain a bit after the album is over. Clearly quite absurd, comes on like a gentle perpendicular outtake at first. While it potters along well enough, it doesn't raise the goosebumps I'd hoped it might. The way Don builds up towards the end is imaginative, but until then it's all a little lackluster. So they go through all this. It ends with... as well, life is full of pleasures and disappointments, and if after a few more plays Rapture does end up being one of the latter, so be it. As I spend much of my working life at the drawing board, I can't really let the sleeve go. The reunion has hardly been a beacon of top-class sleeve albums. So he's talking about the cover now. The days when the band's packaging won awards, hard to remember, and so coming off the heels of Bananas and then this, probably not their strongest two album covers, seemed to end when they split in 1976. But even again, such an undistinguished set of sleeves, this is a really bland effort. Anyone who works with one of the graphic industry's main pieces of software, Photoshop, will recognize the bubble effects used on the band's name. Yeah, wasn't I talking about that when we looked at it? It just looked like a standard old filter. It's the default filter, he says. No wonder I recognized it. Not to have even tried to go beyond this, well, I'd be embarrassed to even submit it to a client. Maybe the cover will serve as a metaphor for the whole album. I really cannot see how the album breaking them into a new market. Abandon and Bananas were patchy, the latter more so, but did have tracks of real quality. Rapture for me aims quite high at times, but just misses the mark and leaves me with fleeting moments of pleasure, but nothing substantial. So there you go. So yeah, I have a lot of reviews on this one. I could probably just hit a few more. This one is interesting. BBC review. I think this is it. Just make sure. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is September 26th, 2005. A review from Spitfire written by Martin Popoff, rating 10.0. Holy cow.
10 point. So out of 10?
I would assume.
Oh, okay.
Out of 100. But that's a pretty glowing review. So let's hear this. MTV is a cutting analysis of the woeful life of a classic rock band, and there's good reason Grover and Gillan are indignant. Deep Purple are making better records now than they ever have. Them and Motorhead have a right to be upset. And I can't think of anyone else right now. Maybe Heap, the poor man's Deep Purple, made good on you, Bernie. But there's a big leap for someone who find the early purple stuff sacred. And we're all entitled to our opinions, but here's mine. My favorite Deep Purple albums of the whole catalog are Rapture of the Deep, followed by either Perpendicular or Perfect Strangers, In Rock or Fireball. Bananas was good, but the worst of the four. Abandoned better, but now the fine Morse era has produced a record that feels cohesive, percolates, and rocks hard, but not too hard. And bless their aging knee joints, contains a total of 1 1/4 ballads amidst 11 tracks. I'm not splitting hairs over the bonus tracks here. Let's disperse with a bit of an odd thing first. Ian Paice's sweet science for the most part missing. It's almost as if the plan was for him to keep time, and that at a plod with his drums recorded a bit boxy and in total overwhelmed by the mountainous clumps of keyboards, guitar, and bass. So he goes off into a little bit of critique there, but he's still giving the album a 10. And it's pretty substantial. There's a review here by Nick Lancaster. This one is from Pop Matters. And I believe this one is 5 out of 5. Well, maybe not. It's out of 5. It's weird. Some of them just don't say what the scale is. Where's the next one here? Oh, this one's a review from that Ivan Fjellbu sent from a paper called VG, or Very Good. So he translated it. They gave it a 2 out of 6. I find like those Scandinavian magazines are always having like weird scales of like 6 or 7. It's like very unusual, but 2 out of 6. As recording artist, Deep Purple has hardly released a brilliant record since the grossly underrated Burn in 1974. But now the needle points dangerously close to the low point. Ritchie Blackmore first disappeared, Steve Morse took his place, and since last, John Lord is also gone, replaced by Don Airey. In other words, Deep Purple is far from the songwriting collective it once was, and it doesn't get any better because Ian Gillan's voice seems both dull and overly engaged on a record that lacks most of what a good hard rock record should have, not least good tunes. Pretty harsh.
What?
I think his voice sounds really good on this.
Yeah, me too.
Then there's a more positive, looks like Norwegian review. This one gives it 8 out of 10, and I'll have these full reviews all in the show notes. So that 8 out of 10 is better. But yeah, there's a lot of reviews out there. You can really, I'm interested to see what the next album will be. Tracking down these reviews over the years has been pretty tough, but now with the internet in full swing, it's a lot easier to find some old ones. Although you do have to often find links to websites that don't exist anymore and then go to the Wayback Machine to kind of find them. So, all right. I think it is time to go to our foundation level patrons, if I can find them here. All right. So at the foundation level, at the £3.50 Deep Purple New York tier, we have Lord Longford. At the £3 Aromatic Feed tier, Simon Ford and Richard Brees. At the $3.33 Halfway to Evil tier, Stephen Sharp and Duncan Leask. At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardeau, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Stuart McCord, Ivan Fjellbu, Runar Simonsen, JJ Stenard, Ruinous Inadequacies, Michael Boyette, Corey Morissette from And the Podcast Will Rock, and Ashley. Then at the $1.71 I Want My Own tier, we have
Rich, Youngwy,
Shaylor.
At the $1.50 David Mike Stand Coverdale tier, we have ICDC. At the 10 kroner tier, Karsten Lau. And then at the $1 made up name tier, we have the Before Slime Began Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 Fanatic, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel,
Blackmore tights.
Steve Down to Earth Kohler, Swapper the Electric Alchemist, Anders Engstrom, Durple Purple, and Purple Swede.
Swede.
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right. That's it, man. We did it. We did it again.
Swede.
We did it again. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we did it again. What did we do again? Another episode?
Well, another episode and another album.
We did it again.
They said it couldn't be done. But we did.
Who's they?
You know, the haters, the naysayers.
Yeah.
We've done 18 studio. No, that's not true. We've done 92. We've done 20 of their studio albums.
Well,
we only have 2
that's
left.
fine. Because the haters aren't him.
The haters are not. You're not him, haters.
Yeah. What do we have? 2 more?
2 more albums. Yeah, because we've already done Whoosh and Turning to Crime. Well, 3 more, because by the time we get to those other albums, you know, well, I don't know. Maybe we might even be reviewing the newest Deep Purple album before we get to the next one in the chronology. So who would have thought that when we started this podcast 5 years ago that they've already released 2 new albums since then and soon to be a 3rd.
Hey, isn't our anniversary soon?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. All casual, yeah, so.
It is. Yeah, it's right. It's our 5-year anniversary very soon. Let's see, when does this episode come out? Oh, this episode comes out, I think, about a week before our 5-year anniversary.
See, there's still time to plan something.
Well, the thing we have planned has nothing to do with our anniversary.
You thoughtless jerk.
I know. Well, actually, I think we have something. Actually, we may have something very special coming out on what I believe might be our exact anniversary of our first episode.
Is it what I think it is?
It might be a bonus episode. Wink, wink. I can't. Sometimes I can't tell if John actually remembers.
I know. I'm the one that brought it up. I remember.
Yeah, I think if it's right around that day. So the bonus episode, while unrelated, should be out right around our 5-year anniversary.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's, it would be a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Which is what you do on 5-year anniversaries.
That's true.
Make a big deal out of things.
What is it for weddings? What's the wedding 5-year anniversary?
I don't know. You want to look?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Look it up.
See what I have to send you.
Year 5.
Flatware or silverware? There you go.
Flatware?
Or sapphire jewelry. I'm going to get you a sapphire brooch.
A brooch. It'd be funny. You send me a brooch, I send you a bunch of forks.
We exchanged gifts. Oh, that's great. All right, John. Well, there you have it, folks. Another week, another episode in the can, and I guess we'll be back at you next week with our sort of anniversary episode, as well as a special bonus episode.
Hell yeah.
Which we will announce to people on the show next week what the episode's going to be, because we'll be doing a sort of live stream, I think. So cool.
Sweet.
Sweet. All right. Well, check you later, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.
I will.
Because I got a package from the Gardeau which I did not open.
Oh, okay, good.
And it's I'm sure you're used to this, but I'm not. So I don't know what is contained within.
I mean, it could be almost anything.